Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, lovers, and friends, welcome back to the podcast at Two Ticks and the Dog Productions. Let me tell you about what's going on here today at Two Ticks. Today, my goddaughter Mia is here, and she is going to be co-hosting with me. We are talking today to also a family member, because everybody here is family, all right? But this is literally and figuratively family. Mia Pishotti and Maddie G. I need the effect on that. Can I do that? Let me see if I can switch that through and make that Maddie G. Wasn't even close enough. Maddie G. Maddie G, an artist, a video professional, and a gentleman who has been with Two Ticks and the Dog for almost a year. We're coming up on our yearly review, and we're going to do it live in this next episode. It's going to be exciting because we're going to talk about, I don't want to say ADR, it's some other MSR. Wait, anyways, stay tuned because we're going to talk about something where people are listening to these very interpersonal sounds like that. Because I just went in there and they're in the other room, and I just went in there and I said, hey, I have to redo this thing. I had to get some water because you can hear me. These microphones are so sensitive and nice, but you can hear me like swallow sometimes and breathe, and the furnace just kicked on, which I have to turn that off. But stay tuned because we are going to have a great show on the podcast next with 3 generations of artists. We'll talk about that. But first, we want to talk about one quick thing. Why I'm feeling so good today. And it's because I biohack tomorrow. Get it? There's my line. Biohacktomorrow.com is a site you can go to and look at some of the supplements that I take. Not all of them, because there's stuff on there for your pets and things of that nature. Because part of my biohacking involves reducing oxidative stress. What is that? It's the rusting of our cells, just for like layman terms, okay? I'm going to have a good friend of mine on, a doctor, who is going to tell us about oxidative stress and how you can reduce it, and we'll share some ideas, but that's in the future. Until then, visit biohacktomorrow.com. They are sponsoring the podcast today. We are so thankful. And also sponsoring today is Two Ticks and the Dog Productions. I'm not going to tell you what we do because if you don't have an idea, you just Google it. But I want to say this. We try to support the community that we are in. We try to be good stewards of our youth, and we try to give back. We try to give back. We try to be givers back. I was trying to make that work, but it didn't. We try to give back. It's easy to give back when literally it is your goddaughter. But today and other days, we have had young artists in high school and college. We have an internship program, but we also have like job shadowings, and sometimes we go to different schools and talk about life in video production, which we are going to talk about today with Maddie G. I was on the ball on that one. But anyways, my point of this sponsorship, to use this time, is to say, be good stewards of the future. Be good business people. And I know you don't have a lot of time sometimes. Everybody has different schedules and stuff. But you'll get called from time to time at someone that may want to be in the field that you're in. And they want to know about it. And they want to know what that life is like. If you have, if you have time, make time. Make time to bring the youth of America in, okay? I'm doing it today because I was asked by my sis if Miss Mia could come in and job shadow. And I was like, well, of course, that's awesome. Like, it's kind of like a dream come true. It's like, yeah. And we'll have, but even if it wasn't family, we've had other people in, lots of them. Now, we can't accommodate everybody, but you definitely want to give time back to the community. You want to be able to teach some of the skills that you had. You want to be able to, pull the veil back, pull back don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain. Show them behind the curtain so that they know. Because I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I was in high school. Or really kind of in college, I guess. I don't know if I'd change my path. because life certainly wouldn't be as interesting as it's been. But give them an idea so that they can see. By exposing them to these things, you really are shining a light on something that may be or may not be suited for them as a career moving forward. So anyways, it's enough preaching. Let's get on with the show here today. Ladies and gentlemen, I already gave you an intro. We're live. Matty G. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Mia, thank you for being my co-host today.
No problem.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. So we were talking about, and I don't remember what I said in the intro, even though I just recorded it like a couple minutes ago. We didn't say ADR, because ADR is automatic dialogue replacement, right? That's an acronym for the production business, production industry. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about ASMR.
Yep.
Which
I still have it pulled up if you want to.
Yeah, hold on. Yes, I do. But I don't know. I didn't know what this was. This is why, and it ties into the intro a little bit. This is why it's good to hang out with younger people who are cooler than you, because they are hip to like this movement of, I have to look at my notes again, ASMR, which is funny. And Mia was like, oh yeah, that's like a big thing. You guys both were like, knew what it was. And I'm like, I'm clueless as to what it is. So, by all means.
Well, I'll just give you the definition right here off of Google. A feeling of well-being combined with a tingling sensation in the scalp and down the back of the neck, as experienced by some people in response to a specific gentle stimulus, often a particular sound. So ASMR isn't necessarily audio in general. It's just a response that can be triggered by audio. ASMR is triggered by things like whispering voices, paper tearing, and a scalp massage.
Is that kind? Do you listen to this stuff, Mia?
Yeah.
So I think it maybe also the definition could be like nails on a chalkboard, right? Because you have that. Is that ASMR?
No, I don't think it triggers the same response. It's soothing. It's a soothing response. Oh. It's like, that feels good, so I want to listen to this.
Oh, see, I'm associating it with something else. Because as I was talking to them before this, I was swallowing as I was giving, like, and these microphones pick up the sound of everything. I don't want to say everything, but a lot of things. And Renee, my wife, would be like, oh my gosh, that noise is so, like, the sound of chewing, like,
yeah.
I thought it was like interpersonal.
Some people like that, though.
Intimate sounds. They like that.
Yeah.
Some people do.
It's weird.
And that's why.
Okay, let me ask you. Mia is 16. She's a 16-year-old sophomore at Howland High School. Do you know anybody? You don't have to mention names. Don't mention names. That'll be weird. But do you know anybody that likes that sound? Like, is that something that...
Oh, yeah, because it's not just limited to, like, whispering and, like, eating. People, like, cut soap and stuff, too.
What?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I've seen that.
Cutting soap. That's crazy.
And honestly...
Like, so they're recording the sound of it, and then they like the...
But it also looks cool visually, you know? It's all kinds of weird things that are just... It looks so right.
This is very strange to me, you guys. Very, very strange. Well, okay. Well, let me give... This is why we hang out with different generations, because generationally, we were talking about this beforehand, we are all artists. Mia is here, as I mentioned in the intro. Mia is an artist. She paints, she acts, she dances. Am I missing anything?
I draw.
Okay, draw.
Yeah.
All that. Do you play music yet?
No.
Come on, Mia. Matt. Hold on a second. Matty G. Matty G is a video artist. He's done stand-up comedy. He has taken up the guitar. He took up the guitar before, but he's playing now because he got some strings on his guitar. He is also an artist. Mia is from Gen Z. Is that right? Jeez.
Yes.
Matt is a millennial, but I said he's an atypical millennial earlier. And I'll get to that later, because generations get, even, in my generation, Gen X is like, oh, Gen X, they're like, rebels, and they want to like tell everybody to go F themselves, which is maybe true. And every generation blames the generation, sometimes after or before them for whatever things and says, oh, that generation's weak and that they're brats and it's kind of the gig, right?
Sure.
But we're all of different generations and we're all artists. And so the reason I wanted to invite Matt on today, not only is he all those things, but he also won the Prodcast, help me out, contest for our logo. Mm-hmm. And so he helped me take the sketch logo that I created and computerize it and make it better and like freshen it up or whatever we would say. So I said, man, we got to have you on. Plus, he's been helping me the release of our first podcast, helping me get prepared. And so I wanted to make sure that he came on and talked about his year at Two Ticks. He's a recent Kent State grad in
digital media production was the major.
Digital media production. And I thought, man, this would be a really cool thing to kind of do this thing. And it just happened to work out on the same day that Mia is coming to Job Shadow. Tell us why you're here for the Job Shadow, Mia.
It's from my college and career readiness class.
That's super awesome. You're going to go to college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any idea where you're going to go yet?
I have a couple colleges in mind,
Ooh.
but
all right.
not for sure.
Not for sure. Well, she's only a sophomore, so she'll get there. She'll get there.
Hey, that's way ahead of me. I think I was this summer before college, I applied to college and luckily got in because I was just winging it, man. Just always winging it. I never knew what I wanted to do with my life. I'm very indecisive, so.
Well, that's perfect, man. Let's go with that. Tell us about the beginning. Like, where are you from? How did you get into the arts? How did you decide to then major in media? What is it again?
Digital media production.
Digital media production?
Yeah, it's wild. It's really kind of weird how I got here. I didn't really have any experience in photography or video or media production until later on in life. You know, the creative part of it, and this is all connected. I got started with acting and comedy. I was always, leaning that way from a younger age. You know, I remember in fourth grade or fifth grade, I had a project I had to do, a presentation, like or a biography on somebody from history. And a lot of the other students in the class decided to just go a pretty normal route, kind of read their report. But I, insisted on, kind of making like a TV out of a old box and then sitting inside of it and kind of, acting out like a little news report on this person. And so it kind of started there. And then, middle school came and I got into theater and acting. And I always, had a pretty good sense of humor, I would say. And, high school came along. I was still doing theater and making some comedy videos with some of my friends. But I was never the guy holding the camera. I just knew a guy who held the camera, and he was into that kind of stuff. And so I became really good friends with him, and he kind of helped me make some of these videos, but I was more so just the brains of like the actual comedy and the content, not so much the, everything, the video, holding the camera, hitting record, lights.
You were creating the show, like probably sporadically in your head, and then acting it out. You were the talent too? You were on air,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
That's how the comedy thing came.
Well.
And so then...
So this guy goes off to Kent State, and he... my friend that was helping me, he goes off to Kent State.
Are you guys still friends?
Yeah, we're still.
Drop his name. Well, who is he? Who is this friend of yours?
Tyler Maruschek.
Tyler, if you're out there in Prodder world, we're talking about you, man.
Yeah, I'll let him listen to this, but he actually works with my wife now. That's how close we are. We're
nice.
Got him a job working with my wife. Anyways, he went off to Kent State and majored in journalism, which was very close to what he was doing. Reporting, cameras, and stuff. So he's majoring at Kent State while I am figuring my life out. Like I said, I applied to Tri-C like this summer before I went there, not knowing what I want to do with my life. I was an undecided major at Tri-C. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? So my buddy comes to me and he's like, hey, man, at Kent State, they have this TV2 where it's like a student-run TV station, and they've got news, and they've also got like programming shows, like different kind of stuff. And one of them is actually a new one. It's going to be a sketch comedy show, and I know the guy who's like starting it up. So I was really intrigued by that. I was like, that is awesome. And he's like, yeah, I can totally get you in there. I was like, but I'm not a student. He's like, well, we'll just kind of lie. So I actually went to Kent State, met these people, and I remember I was like signing up for this thing, and the guy sat me down, and I was typing in all my information, and I had to put in my email. I remember putting in my email, and this guy was like, no, put your Kent State email. I was like, you know what? I actually don't really use that one as much, lying to him, because I didn't have one.
You weren't enrolled in Kent State at the time.
No, I was not. So I actually spent a semester at Kent State working on this TV show while I was not a student, and nobody had any idea. They all thought I went there. And so...
It's very Spielberg-esque. Spielberg snuck, the legend is he snuck onto this lot at Universal and just made himself an office. So Matt's not even a student at Kent State, but he's getting the education. He's hanging out, man. Rip that. Let's go. Keep going.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. So I somehow ended up there doing this comedy show, and it started off with just really liking the comedy, and I was really, really committed to it. Like, I had to drive like 45 minutes out there, because I was still living at home. So I had to drive like 45 minutes to go to Kent State to work on the show. And I was doing that 2-3 times a week, sometimes crashing in my buddy's dorm room.
Are you at Tri-C?
No, actually, I took that semester off because I was just so lost with my life, man. Like, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like,
how long into college are you? You're like a year in at this point?
This would have been, I did 3 semesters at Tri-C.
Oh, okay.
And then the fourth one, that would have been my fourth at Tri-C. I took off. I was not going there.
That's a golden story. I love this. So they all think you go to Kent State.
All these guys think I go to Kent State. Everybody. I had everybody fooled. It was actually, so that whole story of me not being a Kent State student and working on that show actually became kind of famous there. A lot of people found out about that, and they're like, hey, you're that guy that wasn't a student here working on the show. I was like, yeah, that's me. They were like, that's some commitment. I was like, yeah.
That is called desire, people. That's called waiting outside you go train with the master, right? So you approach the master and you go knock on the door, and he lets you sit in the snow. Okay, and that's right. That's the story of the samurai or whatever, the Buddhist temple. So you did this, but you're like actually in the mix. You're a monk. You're dressed as a monk, but they don't even know that you really are just some guys hop the wall, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty fun and to do that for a while. But soon after that whole thing started, I really fell in love with it, and so I was like, I don't know that I necessarily want to do like the production aspect of it, but if I can go to school here and continue to make comedy because I was pretty good at it, I thought maybe I'll just go there at Kent State, enter this program, and then my plan was to just do comedy and make that my thing. And somewhere along the way, it just kind of switched paths. I kind of realized that comedy is just a hugely saturated market now. I mean, people are making comedy all over. I mean, media in general is everywhere, but people are farting into their iPhones now and calling it comedy anyways. Somewhere along the way, it just switched from me doing the comedy to getting behind the camera. And that was probably 2 semesters after that. I was really involved with the show, and I was up for possibly a producer position. I did not get it because I just didn't have quite as much experience, and I was also kind of doubting myself. But, after another semester went by and I had the experience and I was actually taking the steps to hold the camera and do the editing, I felt comfortable. And unfortunately, that show, there was a lot of drama that went on there, and that show that I worked on, Amateur Hour, ended. It was no longer at Kent State. So I started a new show. And so I was the producer, and I had the reins. And then this new show I did for a semester, and then I kind of abandoned it. It is my bastard child.
Well, that happens. That's all artists do that, right? Art's never finished. It's abandoned, and so that's okay. I want to step back just a little bit.
Sure.
Because you mentioned something. You didn't actually put the term fear on it, but you mentioned you alluded to the fear of the unknown, or the fear of, you had said, oh, once I got to do it again, I was more comfortable. And so I think a lot of times people abandon that artistic side or whatever that thing is, because first off, you're subject to everyone having an opinion and saying, oh, well, that's not very good. Okay. Like critics are subjective, right? That's not very good, or that's not, or that, whatever that thing is. And so now you're kind of naked out there. Stand-up comedy is one of those things, and you're certainly correct. Like in the whole, all these arts, if you will, are kind of saturated because prior to this amazing technology becoming readily accessible to everybody, it was like Lowboy was on before talking about these big cameras everybody had to carry around, and they cost as much as a house. And so it was a little cost prohibitive for just anybody to pick up their iPhone or anybody to do this thing and be a video producer or a graphic designer or a whatever it is, a comedian. Now it's like, oh, yeah, because I got this thing. That was a funny comment, fart in your iPhone. But it's also scary because when you're on the stage or you're producing something that someone can look at and say, oh, it's good or it's not, because you're putting it out there. And so that's interesting to me. As a young artist, you're a young artist, Mia as a young artist, don't let that catch you guys up. Like, don't get caught up in, of course, I listen to these podcasts before as I'm editing them, and they're not edited. The intros are actually edited because I'm trying to take breaths out and ums and ahs and those kind of things. But you're kind of also editing, self-editing, and thinking, are people going to think this is entertaining? Are they going to think it's educational? Are they going to think, well, he sounds like a goof? I mean, you have all these like the voices in your head.
Yeah.
Is that ASMR?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I just did that. Voices in your head.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So people, you have those kind of voices in your head, and they're your own critic, and they're your own person saying, whoever that person is, and you want to surround yourself with people who give you honest feedback, but
Right.
you also want to make sure that you surround yourself with people who are also encouraging and go like, hey man, your first couple episodes are kind of slow, but now you're getting into a groove and keep it up. Or you want them to be honest and say, I don't really think you have a propensity for that. Like, you better hang it up. The fear, did that ever stop you? Do you think it directed you? But you had to be fearless too, because otherwise you wouldn't be this. Like, I can say this. So Matt and I have been working together for a year, which I already said. He's a very smart guy. Like, he's aware of himself. He's aware of his intelligence. He's aware of his body. It's kind of good because we hit it off because he's kind of like a fellow biohacker. I don't know if he uses those terms, but I'm sitting across from him and he's drinking kombucha tea right now, and he actually makes his own kombucha tea. But he's very aware. He's very intelligent. So you could be doing a lot of other things, is my point. Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't know. Yes, you could, right?
Maybe.
Yes, you could. I'm just going to say, yes, you could. Okay. So the fear, the courage to continue on something that you are passionate about. Are you passionate about this?
Video production?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it.
He'd have to be, or he wouldn't be here. I was waiting for him to say yes. Yeah, of course. You wouldn't, and you still wouldn't be doing it because you can do other things. Sure. But the fear of, do people think this is cool, or do this, or with comedy or with music?
I get it more with comedy. I get the fear more with comedy.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, it's not so much with the things that I have time to produce and to write, and like a video that I can throw out there on an internet, a sketch. Live performances are 1,000 times more
terrifying.
It's terrifying, yeah. Because what happens if you get up there and you've got this content and you start performing it in front of a bunch of people and nobody laughs, and that's what you're there to do, and they're all looking at you, and it's quiet and it's awkward, and it's just, if you've ever been there, it is one of the worst moments you'll ever have in your life. But it's also a teaching experience, and so some of those failures and some of those worst moments of your life is where you learn the most.
You got to throw it all out there.
But most of the time I was doing improv, and that is a little bit different, and I was never quite as worried about improv as I was stand-up comedy, because with improv, I think maybe there's a little bit less expectation because you're coming up with it on the spot. But I've always kind of found that sometimes I just perform better on the spot. I'm able to come up with things on the spot, comedy wise. And so I feel like I kind of thrived there.
Are you going to go back? When's the last time? Because we've talked about it in the past. Are you going to go back to comedy, you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to now. I've got some things that I'm trying to work on right now. Nothing
that makes me excited.
No live performances, but I have an idea that I'm working on right now, and it's in development. It's for I want to do a pilot episode for a comedy series
Nice.
That I'm working on. And
what's it called? Is it secret?
It's called Freelancers.
Nice. Ah, yes.
So you write about the things you're going through.
Perfect segue. So you get out of Kent State, you graduate with digital media studies.
Production.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I'm
so
writing
close.
it down.
DMP.
Digital DMP, like ASMR. So you get out and you have this degree. And it's funny because I was talking to my dad the other day, and he was like, my dad was being facetious, and he was like saying, "Oh, you're a worthless degree," because I would play my degree down sometimes and say like, it's like a degree in basket weaving. Because it's an art degree. Okay, I mean whatever. Certain people hold that in different regards, and whatever it is. That's a whole nother probably segment of some.
If I can comment on that,
please.
To me, my degree is in a way useless, but in a way not. The degree isn't so much about, hey, this guy can do video production. It's this guy went to college. He took a bunch of courses and now is a well-rounded individual.
Yes.
It's all that education, So in the video production aspect, it is honestly, it's a little bit useless because in this field, people are looking at what you've done, not the work. The work, yeah, you're real. Your portfolio.
But it's also important to. I always say it's like a ticket. It's the ticket in. And I'm stealing this from my dad. It's the ticket in. Like you're just showing them you completed something. And if two people came in and they had the same type of reel, it's all art's going to be different, right? I mean, there's no 1 + 1 = 2 with everybody, right? Unless it's like paint by numbers or something. But so everyone has like a very similar reel. Okay, and you sit down, and if everything is even, they both have good personalities, and they both can whatever it is. They're both capable. Who do you hire? If everything's the same, then do you go to the person who has a degree or do you go to the person who doesn't? I'm just posing that question. I don't know what the answer is. I tend to think that, just like you said, you're showing somebody that you have developed and completed this particular skill set, that you've been taught a formalized to something.
Sure.
Degree of education. A degree of degree.
I think in 99% of the cases, you're going to get the leg up, but there's some of those people who really hate college.
For sure.
Then they might not hire. They might say, I'm going to go with a guy who's self-taught.
Well, so Matt Smith. Hold on, Matt Smith. Matty Smith. Doesn't have the same ring as Matty G, but Matt Smith, my creative partner for the last almost 20 years, or since 22. So almost a little over 15 years. Brooklyn in the house. He lives in Brooklyn now. I love these effects because we don't really get to use them that much. He is a self-taught. He went to Pittsburgh Art Institute. He was a part of the Pittsburgh Filmmakers. He did some time, like he was in jail. He did some time at YSU, Youngstown State University, but college just wasn't a thing. And it was a money thing too. College is expensive. So Mia, obviously getting prepared. And I know your parents and grandparents have been, preparing. And I'll talk about this on another thing, like be prepared as an artist, as a freelancer. And we could probably segue into that too. Get your 529 plan for your kid. Get your Roth IRA if you're a freelancer or an artist, because probably you're not going to be in a 401k situation if you're in that. And that's the life. Like that is part of production life. That's something we haven't talked about much in these episodes of the podcast, but it's certainly something we can talk about now because we've got a working, living artist in front of us who has a degree in digital media production.
There you go.
But he's got the ticket. So I don't know where I was going with that. I was leading somewhere.
With the degree, or with the idea of freelancing and not having the
Yeah, I just kind of talked in a circle. So yeah, I guess go pick up wherever you where you like. Show us your improv skills, Matt. The light's on you.
Improv, great. No, I think where you were going, if I can use my listening skills, which is important in improv. If you know anything about improv, it's all about listening. I think where you were going was with the a little bit of the unpredictability of being a freelancer, and also the feast or famine aspect of it, and it's not a traditional course. It's almost like you're your own boss. You, in a sense, are an entrepreneur, even if you don't have like a business front.
True. Right. You are the business. You're getting hired out for these different gigs, and you're kind of, that's where we were talking about. I'll pick it back up because I was saying, what my dad was saying, he was actually, because I used to play it down. I used to downplay it because I didn't want people to, film. The title of my degree is film studies. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Film Studies. And I would say, it's like a degree in basket weaving. Because if you went to go get like a quote unquote real jobby job, they're like, film studies? You probably just want like someone that's got like a business degree, general business or whatever it is. And you were saying earlier, it's not so much about the degree, it's about the real. And that's kind of what I was bringing about Matt Smith on, because he didn't have the degree, but he's wicked. He's taught himself. So listeners, lovers, and friends out there, if you're interested in the production life, you don't need a degree. That's one of Brandon's big things, Brandon Giovanni. And I'm going to have some musicians on that don't have music degrees, that don't have degrees, period. And they've been successful in living off their music and performance for their entire careers. And that doesn't mean you don't have a side job here and there, right? There's a lot of actors in LA that are waiting tables, and a lot of graphic designers and musicians and painters and everything else that are doing the same thing. But you can teach yourself some of this stuff, and that's what Matt Smith did. I mean, he has some formalized education, but man, you go on the internet and you can pick this stuff up. Are you finding that your education is expanding now that you're working in it?
Absolutely. It's a whole different workflow. College, the assignments are very clearly assignments. I mean, the people that I knew who thrived the most in that environment were the ones who were kind of already self-taught before. They showed an interest before college, unlike myself. And so maybe in high school and stuff, they had hands-on experience with cameras and production. And so when they came there, when they came to college, they already knew some of that stuff. And honestly, it wasn't so much, the courses that was teaching them how to do this stuff. It was, the little passion projects that they wanted to do themselves while they were enrolled. That's where you learn the most. And that's where I learned the most, because doing, the comedy show there, the TV programming, that's where I learned the most. Not my classes, was doing the stuff that I like to do and just doing it, not learning about it, but doing it.
Hands-on applications. Yeah, those certainly are. And it's a different energy too. Because when you're doing the courses, just like if you're working for a client, I mean, you're always putting your brushstroke on it. We're going to have, I'm going back in time. We had Andy Gray on. We talked about the auteur theory. And so that's the same thing. You're going to put your artistic brushstroke on it, if you will, but you're following the client's, guideline, basically. Mm-hmm. Same thing with school. You're following the directive of the teacher. Here's your project, and there's certain parameters. When you're doing your own stuff, you're employing some of those skills or parameters that they taught you, like the 3-act structure or how to then break that or whatever it is. And then it's a different energy because it's your thing, and you're finding what your own work speed is and what, that feels like. And a lot of times this is not it can be, but this is not a one-man band kind of deal. Like, you can strap a tuba to your one side and a trumpet to the other and put a couple drums on your feet, and maybe if you're lucky, have a guitar, and you can reach down and strum that and have a microphone in front, and it can be done. But it's not typically, you need a band, and you need to be able to orchestrate with your band and with your team. And so I think a lot of times those kind of projects are what teach you, and you develop those skills too. What's that been like since you've been out of Kent State. And tell us this. When you graduated, did you go right into doing video, into digital media production, or like, you know?
I tried. It's hard. I tried really hard, looking for any gigs that I could get. And honestly, I don't think I had my first actual break, with a real gig until, and it had to have been like at least 6 months after I graduated. I was given the opportunity to produce videos for a Montessori school. And so I graduated in August, and that gig did not come along until February, I think.
And you work in a restaurant too. You were working in a restaurant
until then, and then in that time in between, I realized that my reel was kind of lacking. I didn't put in as much work as I should have while I was in college because, I don't know, it just felt different. And honestly, I just did not have the greatest work ethic, and I don't know, I did not take advantage of college like I should have. So when I got out, I was like, man, I really want to work in this field, and the only way that I'm going to be able to is if I improve my portfolio. So I just spent time, improving my skills, watching stuff on YouTube, and then also going out with my camera and just making little videos.
That's it.
Building up the reel.
Yep. You'd have to just do it. You do your school stuff to get your grades in school and get your little, your little, I'm not downplaying it. You get your certificate, you get your diploma, you get your degree. You get the job most of the time from your reel. And so there's no excuse now. When I was in school, I was very fortunate to come across and meet Norman Jewison, who is a very famous director and directed a lot of great movies. One of my favorites, Moonstruck, with Cher and Nicolas Cage, and he's done The Hurricane. He's fantastic. Anyways, I was like nerdy, and like we had to have lunch with him afterwards, and I made sure like I positioned myself next to him during lunch, and I was just picking his brain, probably like a gnat. And he was like, "Get this dude out of here!" But I was like, "Hey, what do I need to do?" And it's even more prevalent now to say this, because everybody has a camera because it's attached to their phone, which is attached to we might as well just sew them to our heads, right?
Oh yeah.
But I was asking him like, hey, he goes, do you have a camera? And I said, yes, I do. I bought a kit. I was like, I DP for people's projects because I wanted to be well-rounded. He goes, go out and make movies. That's it. Just go do it. Like, they're going to suck at first, or they might be brilliant. Like, you're going to learn. You're going to have this curve. And he was probably in his 70s at the time. I'm not sure how old he is now. And so he had already been 40, 50 years in the business. Came from, huge 35 millimeter cameras, and they shrunk them down. And then, he went through the stage of like, at one point they had 35 and they went to 16 because of the war. So they could have like, they didn't have to carry these, and so, but at that particular time, you could go to Best Buy, which is what I did. I financed a camera at Best Buy for like $800. I think I still have it. It's an RCA VHS C. The C stands for compact. So do you guys remember a VHS? If not, look on the thing behind us, right? Oh. VHS. Mia's like, did you have a VHS?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man.
All the Disney movies.
Oh, hey, those might be worth some money. Mm-hmm. The Disney movies on VHS. But he was like, go out and do it. And so Mia, now it's like, you got a camera. Like, these kids are, it's funny because we were working on a video before we started the podcast today. Matt was doing some editing of some footage we shot at one of our clients last week. And Mia was sitting in and kind of watching them. And I was like explaining like, oh, okay, here's the sound files and those are the waves. And she's like, yeah, they're already so much more advanced, which is kind of neat as to what you were saying, Matt. 16 years old. I didn't know I kind of had some dreams, but I didn't know how to figure it out. Like at 16 years old, I was playing soccer and like trying to hang out with, my girlfriends or whatever, my girl, try to have, anyways, that's my point. But good for you. What's it like? Do you guys have a media class? I never even had a media. Yeah. Did you have a media class in school, in high school?
I don't think it was an actual class. There was a program, but it was kind of small.
Okay. Was it like a club or something?
Yeah, nothing special. Actually, the friend who got me to Kent State, he was in it. So
okay. But you, Mia, there's a class there. Is there a station?
There's like a couple of classes.
Yeah.
There's like a couple of them actually. And they have like one specifically for photography. But then there's ones that are like, video design and like like all kinds of things, like digitally.
Do you take those classes?
No, not this year.
Oh. Are they not offered to you this year because you're a sophomore?
I can take the photography one next year if I want to.
Oh. Are you going to take it?
I might.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. What are you thinking about doing for, career-wise, college, studying? I mean, this is very early on, but...
Okay, well, like, I'm really into photography. So eventually, one day, I want to get to the point where I can tour with, like, bands and take pictures for them.
Yes.
Like, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, we got to hook you up with Bob Jadlowski. Shout out Bob Jadlowski. Bob is a local legend in the... he's a photographer. He's a computer guy. He's all kind of stuff. But has shot some amazing. He's had great access and has shot some amazing photographs for bands when they come in and tour locally, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Youngstown, and that would be a sweet gig. Yeah, super super cool. So here's our yearly review. Let's talk about how has it been to. Because when we met, it was at the tail end of you doing the videos for the what was it again?
Montessori.
The Montessori. Mm-hmm. I was going to say. So the Montessori. You're done with that project.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm lucky I found you because it basically was done at like when I found you. It was not a very long gig.
Well, and that's tantamount to how this business is. My friend right now, Eric Murphy, has a master's degree in film from Loyola in LA. He's got a marketing degree from YSU, and we produced Wax and Gibbous together and worked on some state senate campaign commercials together. And then shortly thereafter, he went to LA, and he's been there ever since. And it's the same thing with Matt Smith. Their job, it's a job to job. We are too. We're job to job. It's a juggle. Dove Simmons, who I actually talked about in another podcast, I think the first one. Dove Simmons has the Hollywood Film Institute. And he would say, make sure when people ask you, and you tell them, you're a producer with multiple projects in various stages of development. So you got something in development, you got something in pre, you got something in production, and something in post-production, and you're juggling it. So when you have a production company, that's kind of what we're doing, right? But that's what you're doing with your career. Is you're kind of going from, man, okay, I finished this job, and you work hard on it, and then you might get a lapse, or you might not. Hopefully the lapse isn't too big. You get enough of like a rest, and then you can go on and do something, pick up another 6, 8, 12-week gig. And that's what Eric Murphy does right now. I think they're stretching a little bit longer now because he's a super talented guy. He's been involved in the business for a while. But sometimes it's nerve-wracking too. I learned this very early on. Please speak on it. Where you get paid, and you might get paid decent, and then you're like, oh sweet, I got this money, and then you're like 3 weeks, and you're like, where's the next gig? You're trying to find the next gig. So Montessori school, you come across 2 ticks, and you do other, you're freelance obviously, and you do other stuff as well. I like the fact that there's nothing that you have turned down yet. Because like I've turned Matt onto some stuff, and he's like, yeah, like, and you're learning from all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't turn anything down at this point. Anything I can get, I will take. That's a little bit desperation for work, and that's also a little bit of wanting it, and also a little bit of needing it to learn. So it's all those things. But yeah, at this point, there's pretty much almost anything I would not turn down. I probably would turn down an adult film though. So sorry, adult film guys. I'm not.
You would turn it down?
Yeah, I don't think I would do an adult film.
Shame on you. Yeah. I wouldn't. Sorry, Mia. Trying to be PG here. We talked about that in the first broadcast too. But I'd probably turn it down now. When I was younger.
If my wife ever loses her job, I hope she doesn't, knock on wood. But like, if she ever loses her job, sign me up, man. I'll
wait film. I'm not talking about in front of the camera. I'm talking about behind the camera.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I don't want to be in front of the camera. That's a little bit too intimate or lack of intimate. I'm not really sure.
Well, you've just completely destroyed your reputation at that point.
Well, yeah, and it's anyways. Listen, adult film stars out there, we love you.
We love you
guys
so
are
much.
Awesome. Yeah, love you long time.
Big fan. No.
Is it scary? Let's go back to that fear thing. Is it scary being a freelancer? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I'm moving in a different direction right now. I've kind of decided that, for a while I thought that I needed to do something that was extraordinary or amazing that people just really like to see, something that I could justify why I'm doing it. And I kind of always thought wedding films are not something that's like that. It's maybe not as artsy, I guess, as, having your own TV show or doing really cool ads. But it's something that I found that I still get to be creative, but I can also make money at. And so I'm kind of moving in that direction, and I'm realizing that it's just a whole different game to try to get these people to say, yeah, I trust you enough to hold the camera on one of the most important days of my life and not mess up. So it's scary because I feel pretty comfortable right now. Maybe I shouldn't, but I've got enough things going right now. Like I work obviously for Two Ticks and the Dog. And then I also get regular work from a guy up in Cleveland who has his own production company as well. And everything in between is just kind of bonus. I wouldn't say that I'm thriving right now, but I'm definitely doing better than that first 6 months, fresh out of college where I had literally nothing.
Yeah, it's going to progressively get better because you're willing to grind and you're willing to feed yourself, so to speak, maybe on jobs that are not as, we talked before, like I did like some dance videos back in the day, and I'm saying not like J-Lo dance videos, not like Jennifer Lopez doing, the Spice Girls, okay, or whatever. What was she? She wasn't a Spice Girl. She was a, I forget where her. Anyways,
Destiny's Child. No, that was Beyonce. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why are you? I'm a terrible person to ask about that.
It's good, but it wasn't those kind of videos. It was like dance recital videos, like me as a dancer, and so I'd go and do these, and I was like, I'm a filmmaker. I don't want to. You got to eat, man, and you have to. You put it perfectly. So I say you're intelligent and you're aware because you realize all these jobs that you're taking, you're putting credit to them. Like, yeah, that's true. Someone's trusting you with one of the most important days of their life to capture that and not go, hey, take two. No, sorry, can't take two. He already kissed the bride. No, let me get a cutaway shot of that. People do that, though. They do stage them. I think it's kind of interesting. But you got to eat. And those are lucrative gigs, too. The wedding, people spend money on weddings. It's awesome. But you got to eat, and you have to, that by doing those gigs, this is what makes you aware, that you're learning. Someone is paying you to learn your craft. And that is something that's very important, I believe, in the first couple years as you're trying to establish yourself. I got caught up sometimes, not often, because I like to eat too, and I'm an only child, and so I'm trying to be, self-sustaining. I have stepbrothers and stepsisters, but it was always like entertain yourself for the most part. So I kind of, subscribe to that one-man band theory for a minute. But I didn't, I had a little bit of I have a film degree. Like, I don't want to be, I'm trying to make movies. I'm not trying to make a video of somebody's bar mitzvah or somebody, but you take what you can, and you have to, again, accept that you're learning on the job. Obviously, you don't want to make mistakes. You're going to make some mistakes. You roll with it and accept them. But you're willing to take those jobs with the understanding that I'm learning, and there's a greater purpose because you're working on projects that are your own, like the freelancer or freelancers. Is it the freelancer?
Oh, yeah. It's working title. It's right working title. No, you're exactly right. That's what I was going to get at is, I kind of justify this, this is going to sound weird because I'm only 25, I know, but when I was, say, 21, I was like, I'm going to do this, and that, and be super creative and make all these amazing things. And then after college, it was like, fuck that. I gotta, sorry, I was like,
you're good.
Dropping the F's here. I was like, I'm just going to say it again. Fuck that.
Yes, own it.
Fuck that. I got, again, sorry, if I can just get this out. Fuck that. I got to make money. Okay? Screw it. I guess because screw that. I got to make money. So, I apologize, but
Mia has to go to confession now, okay?
Oh, man.
My sister's going to be like, you guys were talking so dirty. I'm going to be like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me, Kay. It was Maddie G.
She can't say anything. She says it all the time.
Oh, no.
I popped the microphone, but Kay, she busted. She ratted you out, man.
My bad.
So, yeah, you got to go out and do it, man. You just got to go out there and get it. And you've done a great... Listen, I'm not shining you on here, to use a Ray Mancini term. I'm not shining you on here, Matt. I'm very impressed with you. I try to keep my circle tight. I try to surround myself with people who have a similar goal and can see the vision. You know, they have their own vision and they can kind of see my vision, and we're in a band. Like, we're all in a band here, right? So everyone has a different part and a different piece. I'm going to quote Frank Castellano, my uncle. We're just like total name dropping shout outs today. But he said something beautiful about the Dave Matthews Band, which I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of the saying or a fan of what he said, and I'm a huge fan of Dave Matthews. He goes to Dave Matthews with my cousin Marla when we were like in college, when Dave Matthews just started coming out, when he just became popular. And, you know, it was like, oh, Dave Matthews, super cool and blah, blah, blah. And my uncle's a jazz. He plays all kind of music, but he's kind of prides himself in being a jazz guitarist, and he's a professional musician his entire life. Very talented. He is my personal Eddie Van Halen. Even though he's a jazz player, it's a different thing, but
Wow.
He's my guitar hero, okay? He's the reason I started playing music. And I said I wanted to hear what he said about Dave Matthews, because I really liked him. I wanted my uncle to like him. And I said, hey, what do you think about Dave Matthews? And he goes, oh, man, yeah, he's pretty good. So I like the music. You know, you can't always understand what he's saying. You know, if you ever listen to Dave Matthews, you know, he's got a different tonal quality and a different, like, phraseology, how he phrases his lyrics together. And so my uncle goes, couldn't always understand what he's saying, but the music's really cool. He goes, you know what he did that was very smart? He surrounded himself with musicians who are better than him. And he is playing up. He goes, I'm guessing this, and he is playing up to their level. And so that's what I try to do. I try to surround myself with people who, now obviously there's almost a 20-year age difference between you and I, Matt.
Yeah.
And almost a 20-year career difference between you and I. And everyone that comes in here, I'm not trying to force my mentorship onto anybody, but I feel like I'm the conduit of knowledge to try to give you information. And so I kind of try to wear that role a little bit to try to help young artists and young talent and all that stuff along. But I learn from you every day we work together in one capacity or another, because I'm trying to surround myself with people. You don't have the experience and all that other stuff, okay, yet, but you have the propensity and the potential to be great. And because of that, here's what I love about being in this position, because they say, oh, the student becomes the master. Eventually, you will surpass my level. Yeah. He's like sheepishly like making this look. You will surpass my level of whatever that quan is, whatever that term is. You're going to surpass it, and you're going to become the master because because you're aware and you're willing to put the grind and the time. Which I'll go back to this generational thing that we were talking about earlier, how we're three different generations of artists. And the millennial generation of Matt, which Matt is, gets like knocked sometimes. Like, oh, they're self-entitled and self-absorbed, and they're lazy, and they're this and they're that. And I think they said that about Generation X too. Mia, what do they say about Generation Z?
They say that we're too obsessed with technology, which, for the most part, yeah. But like me personally.
Own it. Yeah.
No.
No?
No. Like, I know how to live without my phone. It's not like glued to my hand at all times.
That is actually really true, because Mia comes to my house frequently, although you haven't been over. We're going to remedy this because I'm sitting on Christmas gifts still from.
Oh, wow.
We haven't exchanged Christmas
Jeez.
gifts yet. Yes, it's terrible. That's that production life. And Mia's mom is, my sister is a teacher, and so our schedules are. Anyways, But Mia comes over and she is there engaged with my son from the time he was, a baby until now. And she's engaged and doesn't need to have the technology. But she's also very good at technology.
Yeah.
Like she understands, and this is where too, like I used to say this to my cousin Jacqueline, like she's at 7 years old, she was already smarter at computers than I was at 17 or 27 or whatever it was, And so, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, like own that technology.
That's the way the world's moving.
For sure.
It's not going back. We're not going to start using sticks tomorrow to,
Right.
I mean, I don't know, nuclear fallout, blah, blah, blah. But the way it looks, like, we're not going to do that. Like, there's just going to be more and more technology. Like, why is it a bad thing that you use it a lot and know it so well?
Well, what's interesting is that AI, they talk, I listened to Joe Rogan, obviously, and he had a guy on that was talking about AI he had Andrew Yang on, who's running for president, and Andrew Yang is like software or some kind of tech guru. And he was talking about, I may have that wrong, but anyways, Andrew Yang was the guy that's talking about this, about AI taking over for truck drivers. And that the switch will first be like truck drivers, real people who are truck drivers will be in like is that the right word? They'll be supervising, they'll be watching on a monitor to take control if the AI truck driver, is making the wrong decision or whatever it is in a particular instance. Art. Like we are already seeing this on our phones where in the past you'd be like, oh, I want this to look a certain way. And you'd have to go through all the steps to how to color correct it and shade it and all this other thing. Now there's just like presets and things of that nature. Or even with something like Facebook, you take the picture and it's uploaded. It's facial recognition. They already know who it is. Do you think? What's the future of that in actual creative content?
The future is already here. They have AIs writing scripts. And I know of at least one.
What?
I know of actually one that was a script written by an AI that they actually took the time to film.
No way.
Yes.
You got to send me this link.
I'll try to find it. It was actually at least a year ago. But yeah, an AI. They've had AIs writing scripts, and finally one was like decent enough that they decided to film it.
Wow.
So we're already at that point. And
the future is now. I'm in the Stone Age. I'm like, what? They have an AI? I probably should be hip to that, but I'm not. What do you know about that, Mia? Anything?
You know about the Twitter AI that turned into a Nazi?
What?
So who was it? One of the software companies, not sure who it was, but they basically made an AI and gave it a Twitter account. They put it on Twitter. I think its name was like Taylor or something. It had a really sweet, innocent, girl name. And this AI basically was just taking all of the different information off of Twitter and using it to slowly grow and develop its own kind of thought pattern and consciousness. And it started spewing out like Nazi propaganda. So they pulled the plug on it.
Shut that down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So it just like the way that that AI learns, it could potentially be dangerous because they could start to learn the wrong things.
Yeah. They will learn that we are ineffectual and we are silly sometimes and make emotional and rash decisions, and they'll go, we don't need these humans. Let's get them out. It'll be like maybe we're Elon Musk thinks we're living in the Matrix. I mean this is incredible though, because I'll go back to something I said earlier about the auteur theory. Do you guys know what that is? The auteur theory?
Yeah, the director basically controls.
He's the author, right? Yeah. So Francois Truffaut brought this up. He's a French guy. He developed this theory, the auteur theory. Could an AI be an auteur? Like, could they develop their own visual and cinematic storytelling technique, and they could create through CGI? They don't even need actors or whatever, or through motion capture. Or could they even say, nope, take two, do it again. I have a different idea. Whoa, that's some scary stuff. That's kind of like this Twitter Nazi. Do you think that's possible in the next? Listen, it's definitely possible.
Sure.
Do you think it's possible in the next 10 to 15 years?
100%.
Wow, they both think it is. So I got to hang with Gen Z and the millennials on this. Yeah, 10 to 15 years, man.
It's a snowball effect. Think about
Yeah.
it. You know, it's already grown so fast. I mean, look at, you know, the year 2000 and how far technology has come. It is crazy. Like digital camera, we work on digital cameras every day. Digital cameras they're getting so good so fast. My camera from 2014 is out of date.
Yeah.
It does not run like the cameras that are coming out today, 2018, 2019.
No. It ain't like VHS-C, let me tell you. VHS-C. Did I ever try to explain
in the
what
year
that was?
2000.
The C is compact.
Yeah.
And you put the tape inside the VHS and it like opened it up and you could have a smaller camera. That's what we used to shoot on. Now we're shooting on, there is no tape, right?
But that was roughly like what, 2000 or so?
No.
No? Before that?
Not shortly before that. Probably 1996. About 1995 or 6 was VHS-C. And just a couple years before that, it was all VHS. And shortly thereafter, 99, 2000 was digital video. Like 98, 99, that's when digital video really became like big. And that's why like we still have tape, you know, we have a big rack of tapes. And they're not even tapes like you would think. Well, not like you guys. What I would think, when I think of a rack of tapes, I think of Beta and like these big tapes. They're like VHS size. I'm talking about mini DV tapes. Now, you know, we're recording on solid state or SD cards, man. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. The movement of art and visual art is incredible.
What do you mean?
Well, just like you're saying, like
how far we've come with it? Like
how fast, yes.
how storytelling today is absurd.
Well, and the technology of it. The technology delivered and how to do that.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Norman Jewis and I having that conversation now, there literally is everybody has a phone. Like you literally, if you don't have if you want to be a filmmaker and you make an excuse, well, I don't have a camera or I don't have this, are you crazy? You can shoot and edit. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be something small. Like and be willing to start off small too.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Artists out there.
Your first film's not going to look like a $1 million budget film, $100 million budget film. It's going to look like doo-doo.
Soon enough it might, though. Soon enough it might look like, with AI, they'll be like, oh, how they put those little faces on things now. So they'll put something, you know what I mean? Like
Paul Walker.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Walker, yeah, but I'm saying like how you even like, you take a picture and there's like these girls with the have like
the Snapchat filters.
Snapchat.
Oh yeah.
So now it's like, hey, I need a rabbit, you know, I need an animated rabbit or animatronic rabbit. Animatronic is like you'd actually build a robot and you'd have this rabbit. Now it's like, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to put a Snapchat filter and there's my rabbit character and I need a bear character and I'm going to do this. There's somebody doing that now. I just saw my son watches these YouTube videos and like, it's already there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Augmented reality. It's gone really far, really fast. So,
man, we went off the rails here.
Yeah.
You got some notes there? What do you got there?
Oh, I was just thinking how we were talking about millennials getting a bad rap, and one of those things I think is our, you know, not ours, because, you know, you can put everybody in a basket and say they're all the same, but they're not. Millennials get a bad rap for being socialists.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that the technology advancing, and especially in digital cameras, one reason that capitalism is good is for that very reason. It's the competition that drove those camera makers to all be better than the others.
Yeah. Competition is good.
That's why we're advancing so fast. That's why technology is so good. That's why the medical field is, you know, there's flaws with it, absolutely, but, you know, we're getting better.
Well, with art too, I'll swing it back into the broadcast zone. A lot of times, like you go through things like, oh, this guy, you know, so we have a video production company. Oh, so-and-so is opening up a video production company. Oh, there's another guy. So you'd get people to say like, oh, you know, are you worried about it? Like, no. I mean, I guess initially, you know, you know, if you could be the only game in town versus 10 games in town, you'd want to, you know, but then there's no push and pull. No one's driving you to get better. No one is, and if you're as good as you want to be and as good as you think you can be, then you should welcome competition because it will make you better. It's kind of like that Dave Matthews theory. Like if Dave Matthews just surrounded himself with guys who were like okay musicians because his ego was like, I want to be the shining star. I mean, he still is the shining star, but I'm sure those guys, you know, Carter and Boyd and the rest of his band, like drove him to be a better artist because he surrounded himself. So when competition comes into play with production, and go like, oh, you know.
Well, from a creative aspect as well, you know, you're talking about it in the sort of marketing production, you know, because that's a lot what we do at Two Ticks and the Dog is building commercials. But in a creative way, you know, filmmaking, we inspire each other in that sense. Because there's, you know, when it comes down to money, you've got these large, you know, studios making these films, but so many people were inspired by a lot of those. Like so many people were inspired by Spielberg.
Oh yeah,
so many people, and it started with, you know, it was a money making thing. You know, the studio that hired Spielberg was after money, but he himself was making art.
Yeah, that's a cool dichotomy. That's what we try to do at Two Ticks. We try to make art out of commerce, out of advertising.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you can inspire people, but you also challenge them.
Yeah. Are you challenged here? Do you feel challenged?
I do.
Yeah.
I feel like an idiot sometimes because...
Why? Gosh, I hope I don't... Do I make you feel like an idiot?
No.
Listen, be honest.
It's nothing...
This is your yearly review for the world to hear. I'm not going to edit it.
Listen, man, if you don't back off, give me more creative freedom. No, I've always had that kind of like this idea, and this is like that kind of back to that fear of failure thing. I tend to have a lot of ideas, but like 1% of them are good. Like literally, I will have 100 ideas. One of them might be good. One of them might be okay.
Cream rises to the top.
Right. And so often I throw things out there, and honestly, in my head, I know it's not a good idea, but I throw it out there and so that you can hear it, and maybe that idea initially was bad, but you have a way to spin it so that it's good. I don't ever like to shut down ideas. It's kind of like that stupid motivational quote, like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
My dad got that for me after I graduated college. He got me this frame thing, and it's a basketball net and the ball's on the ground, and that's the quote. You miss 100%.
I'm thinking of that exact poster. I've seen that in like 80 different classrooms.
Papa Fogs. Well, this has been a very interesting podcast today. Mia, you want to wrap up and give us any tidbits of info, or what do you think today? What's going on?
Nothing's really going on today. I have like a dance competition tonight. That's it.
Mia is expanding. So she's here today learning production life, and later on she's doing dance because she is a Gen Z artist. Yeah. Mia, I'm glad you got to sit in today. You're an excellent...
I'm glad I got to too.
Excellent co-host.
Yeah.
Maddie G, tell us where anybody can find you if they can't find you at Two Ticks and the Dog Productions.
Oh, boy.
They want to hire you, they want to get out to you, and they want to get a wedding video, or they want to hear your comedy, or they want to hear your guitar strumming.
You can find me on my Facebook page, MG Video.
MG Video.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, Mia. You're a great co-host. Maddie G, you're a great interviewer. Until next time, folks. We'll check you again soon on the podcast. Until then, stay electrified. And that's our show today with Maddie G. Oh, I'm sorry. That's our show today with Maddie G. Hope that didn't get too annoying. And I also hope we didn't offend any of your fine, upstanding sensibilities by using four-letter words. Mom, I know you're listening. I'm sorry. But please say some novenas for us at the church and light a candle. We appreciate it. And I mean that sincerely. We do appreciate it. And we appreciate you listening. Mom, I'm glad you're listening. Dad, I hope you're listening too. Friends and family, please share. Please get us out there. Please make it further. If you're learning stuff. If you're not learning stuff, forget about it. There's other podcasts out there that are fantastic. You're probably learning different stuff about different things. But today's show was really about bringing on young artists and getting an inside insight to what they're going through. And I thought Matt was a great person to kind of come on and share that. And I'm glad My goddaughter Mia could also come on her career day. And I hope if you stayed this long, you listened to the intro, and that intro is help your other artists out. You know, lift them up. If you lift them up, you lift everybody up. And cream always rises to the top. So, you know, some people are scared. They don't want to, you know, there's like, they get labeled haters, but sometimes they're nervous. They don't want to share information. Sometimes people get jealous or whatever. I had to go the hard way, so I'm not going to give anybody the leg up, you know, that I didn't get. Well, you know what? Fuck that, okay? You need to help everybody out. There's that word again. Damn it, I did it too. Listen, we are so happy that you joined us today for the show. Remember to follow us. Remember to subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at The Prodcast. Subscribe on your favorite Spotify, iTunes. I think there's one called Podcaster. I'm an Apple guy, so I mean, at least my phone. I'm an iPhone guy. So those are the services I use. But subscribe to us. You can find us on most podcast apps. And if you can't, please check us out at theprodcast.net. Theprodcast.net. Brought to you by MDI Studios and Two Ticks and the Dog Productions. Man, we can't wait till the next show. We're really, really happy that you listened this time. And take care and keep on prodding. Until then, stay electrified.